What's up everybody, David here, and today we are finally taking a look at the brand new drum gate from Slate. Forewarning, I sound like ass because I was sick and I'm trying to not be sick, but I still sound like crap. The noise gate is a long requested and awaited plugin inside of the Everything bundle. It is finally here. There are two different gates, but we're only going to be looking at the drum gate today because I don't really use a gate for anything other than drums. But first, if you guys want an in-depth look at how everything works, I would recommend checking out Slate's official video he released. I will put that link in the description below. That's a great video to see a really in-depth tutorial on how to use the gate, but we're just gonna test it out today mainly. But as a quick rundown, there's basically three sections to this gate. The first one is detection, so you're choosing what frequency range the gate is looking for the transient. Second section is actual threshold and transients. So this is where you set your threshold for where the gate kicks in. You have your range control, release, and then you have a transient knob, which makes it more sensitive or less sensitive to the transients coming into the gate. If you're picking up unwanted hits, dial that back. If you're not picking up enough, turn it up. And lastly, you have the debleed function, which basically clamps down on whatever frequency range you specify after the transient has been let through the gate. This way you can keep the low end sustain of a kick while filtering out the overheads, but still letting that transient through and still getting that clean hit. So let's jump into the DAW and check it out. So we're just gonna start by jumping into a drum track and testing out the gate. Now, as far as these drums, they're pretty much 100% raw. There's been some light EQing on the overheads, room, and snare, but other than that, the drums are pretty much no processing at all. So here's a clip of what they sound like right now. Alright, so we're going to start with the kick. I have the virtual mix rack already loaded up with the gate and a little bit of EQ. So let's dial in the gate on the kick in track. So the kick is pretty cleanly gated right now, but I'm cutting off all of the sustain. So this is where the debleed feature comes in. So all we've done here is turn up the release to keep the sustain of the kick and then have the debleed clamp down on everything above 196 Hz so that we're filtering out that snare drum but keeping the low end sustain. That's pretty clean right there, and that's really workable as far as EQing afterwards. So I'm going to play this in the mix, and I'm going to turn on the EQ I have already set up. That is a really manageable kick drum right there. And it already sounds really good. So now let's move on to the snare drum. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to get to work and dial in the gate here. So same deal as the kick, we're basically cutting off the entire tail of the snare drum. So this is where the D-bleed feature comes in. So let's do the same thing we did with the kick. So right there, we still have the ring of the snare. We still have that low-end character of it. So let's go ahead and turn on the EQ in the mix and see how usable that snare is. Once again, that snare is very, very usable. I feel like I could tweak it a little more to get rid of that little pinchy cymbal sound that comes through, but for now, that's a pretty good example of how well the gate performs, especially on a snare drum. Very, very manageable. Now let's check out the snare bottom. These are usually very easy to gate, but let's see what happens. Now let's check out the whole kit without any gating. Now with the gating and a little bit of reverb. So that fill was actually a great example. Let's zoom in on that fill. Look at how much louder the hard hits are compared to the soft ones. Now listen to what the gate's doing. It's missing a lot of those. On the bottom it's okay, but it's missing a lot of those softer hits. So this might be a good place, just as a side note, to shut the gate off. So just turn off the gate so it's not even trying to gate those, because most of that is all snare hits anyways. So the cool thing about the virtual mix rack stuff is that you can add an automation lane for this stuff. So just take note of what bank the gate is on. I think it's in slot A, and just add an automation lane for the A slot on the virtual mix rack, and it'll simply just shut the power off on that one section. And you'll get a much cleaner snare roll. So just keep in mind, you don't have to have the gate on all the time. And that's it, guys. That is the drum gate that's now included in the everything bundle.
Now, I gotta say, I think one of my favorite things about this gate is that D-bleed function. It's so useful to up the release and clamp down on the high end after the transient has been let through. In my opinion, it gets you a much cleaner gate while not just completely neutering the sustain of the drum. Now, for those of you that have the everything bundle, this is already included in your bundle. You don't have to pay anything extra. You're already good to go. For those of you that don't have the bundle, I guess the question is, should you go out and buy the single plug-in? I think you can do that. It's like a couple $100 or something. Or should you get the everything bundle to have this gate? Now, to answer that question, I don't really know, because I've gotten similar results using the Bober Shell phase trick on the snare and then gating afterwards. But the disadvantage to that is that's like 4 or 5 plugins to make that work. Whereas this is all in one plugin. So it's basically an ease of use thing. I think this is by far one of the best drum gates you can get because it achieves that long sustain that I'm looking for all inside of one plugin. But if you don't have it, there are ways to do it without breaking the bank. On that note, guys, what did you think of the new drum gate from Slate? Let me know down in the comments. Are you using it? Do you like it? Do you think it's meh? I don't know, just let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, side note and shameless plug, if you guys like those drums you just heard in that song, make sure to subscribe to my channel. That is a brand new song coming out in about a week, and I'm going to be giving those drums out for you guys to mix all the multi-tracks. And also, I will be running a contest for that song, and you're going to win some cool stuff. So if you like them, subscribe. Make sure you're here for the new song and the contest. It's going to be fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There are new videos every single week, and you don't want to miss any content. Make sure to ring that bell so you get notified when I post new videos. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. My name is David, and I will see you next time.